Aloha! Today our discussion is going to be about cultivating really excellent self-talk. One of the biggest shifts in my overall health happened when I changed how I talk to myself. I'll share practices all related under the self-talk umbrella that transformed my life. First, I'll explain what it means. We will take a look at our inner dialogue and where it comes from. And then we're going to learn how to understand the unhelpful voices, resolve that, and then install better voices. I'll try to use the terms helpful and unhelpful instead of good and bad. Then we're going to look at situations and time when we self-talk the most, because if we can change those trigger times, we can really make a lot of headway. And then with some anecdotes, I'll probably end up throwing myself under the bus a lot just to convey the point. Finally, at the end, we are going to go over all the things that you have to look forward to when we improve that self-talk. And I'll share how it's revitalized my life, my health, and made everyone around me a lot happier. It also takes a lot less energy to go out there and face the day when you have a really good dialogue with yourself. First, I want to welcome you to the Art of Life podcast, where we delve into the essence of living a creatively fulfilling life. I'm Jennifer Espenscheid, your host on this journey, and I believe we are each the architect and designer of our own reality, and that we have the power to sculpt and manifest our dreams. In this podcast, we'll explore the principles, techniques, and philosophies that enable us to become the effective, abundant, and conscious creators of our own reality. Together, we will uncover the art of navigating life's challenges with grace, authenticity, and 100% responsibility. Subscribe now and become part of this growing community committed to artful living and infinite possibility. Let's embark on this beautiful adventure together. So, what is self-talk? I use that term to describe my inner dialogue, how we talk to ourselves. Some people call it the voice, some people call it the demons, some people call it a name. There's different parts of us, right? And sometimes it is really playful to call them different name. In this podcast, I'm talking about the things that we say to ourselves. It's often running in the background. It can be just kind of chattery and loud. It can be really horrible. It might be really wonderful. It can be relentless or benevolent. But what you say in the background, you often don't realize where it's coming from. And this voice can tell stories. It can also tell us a lot of lies. And it can be talking to you, or it can be you in your head talking about others and making up stories and lies. Wherever you are on this journey, even if you have great self-talk, I promise there's always room for improvement. And I know this because as good as mine is, the last couple days, it really took a nosedive. So as I was preparing this, it wasn't lost on me how much I needed to go over these different methods and protocols for really excellent self-talk. Okay, so where does our self-talk come from? A lot of it is programmed in. So first we have evolution. I'm gonna go hungry this winter. Get my lazy ass out of the cave. Oh my God, is that a lion outside? If I don't do something, everyone's gonna get eaten. I've got to get motivated. So it had a lot to do with survival. Next, it's our peers around us, our environment. So what things do we surround ourselves with every day? This could be people at school, people at work, your friend group. Who am I to think I can leave this friend group? Oh my God, this relationship is killing me. I know I'm probably never gonna find anyone else. Everyone's half dropped out, but who am I to think I can do any better? Then we have our family, and this is often the most important one and where a lot of our programming comes from. So how your parents self-talk to themselves, how they talk to each other. A lot of times there's grandparents or other people that are raising you, and how those dynamics played out went right into your unconscious. So that might be playing out in how you behave towards your partners, towards your kids. Family dynamics are a tough one. I knew it was my mom's fault. And it isn't always bad programming that we have. Yet we really can be aware of it when we see entitlement coming out or a victim coming out in our self-talk all the time. This is also where a lot of worthiness issues come in. And of course, our unconscious is where most of our self-talk comes from. This is where all these external sources, when we didn't have an analytical mind, went into our unconscious and it tends to get lodged there. And our unconscious thinks it's trying to protect us. I'm not smart enough. It'll be too much work. No one's gonna listen. They'll laugh at me. I am way too old for this. So it may not be a helpful voice, but it's speaking from a position of trying to actually protect us. And of course, these voices can be helpful. Not everyone learned a bad program. There are many wonderful environments, family members, and experiences that can really shape our life and give us good tools. And then there's experiences that we've had along the way. And if we're not careful, we'll wall off and keep those wounds alive. Oh, she hurt me so deeply. I will never be open to love again. So as you can see, if you're not intentionally talking to yourself, it's often not even you talking. These exterior influences and energy are running some horrible program. So essentially you're possessed. Well, that explains a lot. Well, then what? Then we either keep it hidden and everyone in the outside world doesn't hear this self-chatter, or we start sharing it, and this voice is then transferred out of our body and into our kids, our family, our partner, and the community. So I like to see it as these rings. We can keep it inside, and that's very, very hard. And it's time consuming and really energy draining. When we start sharing it, we're either driving our family and friends crazy along with ourselves, or we're hiding it so well and taking a toll on our own health. Of course, misery loves company, so people often surround themselves with people who will either listen to it or are complaining as well. So how do we heal that? How do we free ourselves? Can we even change that voice? We can absolutely change the voice. We've already come to the first step, which is becoming aware. And now we're gonna take 100% responsibility. So I'm just supposed to act like everything's great and rosy when it's not? No, we definitely have to be realistic. Oh, this so sucks. I'm so tired of this happening. I'm never gonna get ahead. This isn't fair. Everything is magical. Everything will be fine. Everything is roses. Oh my God, everything's wonderful. I'm not even gonna look at my bank account. It definitely isn't gonna do us any good to try and fool ourselves. So these are gonna be really healthy protocols that are gonna help us reprogram how it is we talk to ourselves by getting to the root issues and then having protocols to move through that. First of all, we're going to understand the voices instead of resisting them. What? You want me to understand this voice? I want to throat punch her and put her in the basement. Well, resistance or suppression often makes the voices louder. And that part of you is on some interesting level trying to protect you or help you. There's something there that needs healing and understanding. So we'll approach this in a balanced way with both of our masculine and feminine energies and protocols. So in the beginning, trying to unravel why those voices are speaking, we're going to use more of a feminine energy, asking a lot of different questions to get to a true understanding of what's happening. Why are you saying what you're saying? I don't want to be embarrassed again. Who is really saying that? Where is that voice coming from? Well, it's what all my friends are saying over and over and over. Can you think of a purpose that it's serving? No, I guess no. To make me feel bad? And if you had to feel it, where do you feel it? And if you had to name it, what is the emotion? I feel it in my gut. It always feels like my upper belly is just on fire. And it feels like it makes me panicky and tight. It feels like fear. Okay, so now we're getting somewhere. This is what we mean by embracing and understanding it. Next, we're going to decide, is it helpful? Well, if it feels bad or if it's annoying, isn't it always unhelpful? Not always. There's a difference in feeling, for instance, concern over anxiety. I want her to be able to concentrate. I'll make dinner so she can study. Anxiety. Oh my God, if she fails this test, she will hate herself, and then she'll be mean to me. I'll think it's my fault. She won't get into the school she wants. Or, for instance, constructive critique versus ragging on someone. Okay, I don't like the way I feel about that meeting. I think I'll send an email clarifying some points versus how can my teammates ever trust me again? I missed so many key points on that presentation. Oh, I'm such an idiot. Or guilt versus shame. One is constructive, one isn't constructive at all. Okay, I feel off about how I snapped at him. Next time when I'm tired and feeling annoyed, I'll convey where I'm at and I'll take care of myself. I am gonna have an apology for him in the morning that's heartfelt, and this is not going to happen anymore. I feel horrible. I feel bad. Oh my God, I'm a horrible girlfriend. He's mad at me again. I shouldn't be talking to other guys. I'm no good. I'm going to try harder. Oh my God. So you can see how one has someone feeling bad and the other positioning you just don't like the way you feel, and you're going to use it as motivation in order to have better outcomes, better feelings. One is constructive, one is moving you towards how you want to be and how you want to feel, and the other is destructive, and you're tearing yourself down and your chemistry is worse and worse, so you're going to feel bad, and likely then your unconscious is not going to feel really great about yourself, and you're probably going to behave similarly the next time. So those are some caveats. It's not always that the feeling isn't great. It's determining whether you can do something about it and it's going to be useful or not. Decide if it's helpful. If there's an action or healing that can happen. Can I do something about this? Is it true? Is it serving any purpose? Once you've determined that it's not true or serving any other purpose, and you've been nurturing and asked questions, now it can be time to use some good boundaries, more of a masculine energy, a directed, taking a different action, and also drawing the line in the sand. When this is happening with me, I'll catch it really fast and I will curb that unhelpful line of thought, oftentimes with some humor. I'll be telling a story of, whoa, oh Jen, that is a good story you're telling yourself. All right, that's enough. Time to move on. So doing it with humor, that energy will be quickly dissolved. Wow, that's a really incredible story you're starting there. And then often a good boundary. Hey Jen, that's enough. Let's start telling the truth here. And often it's a physical movement. So that masculine can change the subject by shaking it out, by going on a walk, by listening to a podcast, by actually doing something different. A state change might be a cold shower. These are all action type things to now move us through the negative, unhelpful self-talk. Is there a way to find a better voice? Absolutely. It is time to talk about transitioning and healing our inner self-critic. And now our self-critic is going to be thanked for what it's served us for, which is trying to keep us kind of down and out and safe. And we're going to install a new program. This is going to be our more beautiful, eloquent voice, and it is 100% truth, and it's responsible. Over time, this is going to get louder and more melodic, and the other voice will be forgotten. I call this method triggering transformation, because usually unhelpful self-talk comes into our sphere when we're triggered. And so if we can actually use those times for installing our new benevolent voice, that is going to equal some quicker transformation when we're in a state that we really need it and that we're definitely emotionally heightened. That's why I call it triggering transformation. Sometimes we know exactly what the trigger is, and sometimes we find ourselves kind of tightened and bound up and have to trace it back a little bit to what happened and where the original trigger comes from. So first, we acknowledge it. Second, we ask how it's familiar, so we go to the root issue. Third, we're going to ask, is this true, and is there anything I can do about it? That transfers things back to us. We're now asking for our truth, and is there anything useful that I can do here? I'm no longer giving power to my past. I'm being present, and I'm going to address the situation and what's coming up inside me. And it might be directed at me, or it might be directed at someone around me, or it might be directed at a government. Whatever that is, it's creating discord in my body, and I'm addressing it now. I'm taking my responsibility back. And then the fourth is to replace that with an action and some better self-talk. This sounds like a lot of work, a lot of steps, a lot of practice and time. Well, actually, you're gonna end up saving time and a lot of energy. Let me give you an example. There's a relationship or a client, and you just sent a really heartfelt text or email, and you got some sort of quick reply, and it's triggering you, it's jarring you. So once again, I'm acknowledging it. I feel this feeling. I feel it kind of in my upper chest, and I don't appreciate it. How is it familiar? This is what it used to feel like when blank and blank would ignore me or cut me off or be dismissive. Okay, well, that's where it's coming from. Is it true, and is there anything I can do about it? Likely it's not true. There are a lot of possibilities for what could be going on. Maybe they're busy, maybe they're upset with someone else, maybe they just didn't have the time right now, maybe they think it's really clear, and there's really nothing I want to do, because if I press it, I'm probably going to get the same reaction back. And then 4, we're going to replace it. You know what? This client has always been awesome. Or she is the best. I can't believe she got back to me right now. I've been really thoughtful and things are going really well, and I'm very excited for this job. I'm going to go do these 27 other things I have to do and just let this rest. So now you have a better chemistry in your body. You're telling the truth instead of making up lies and relying on the past and old triggers. And you're dealing with things in a healthy way, and now your system is present and ready for doing other useful and fun things. Over time, you're not even going to realize you're doing this. It takes a bit of practice. Let's look at some times and situations where we tend to self-talk the most, good or bad, and kind of use those as practical examples and see how we can become more powerful and graceful in those situations. Whatever, saying a bunch of flowery crap to myself isn't going to change how I feel or how others treat me. If I'm lying to myself, I'll know. This is delusional. Well, it's important to remember that most unhelpful self-talk is lying. It's a crock of shit. Honesty is important. So we're not going to tell ourselves flowery lies to cover up the unpleasant lies. We're just going to become more and more authentic and transparent. Because it's true. If it's not authentic, your unconscious is not going to buy it. And that's what we want. We want buy-in from the unconscious. The unconscious is running our show over 95% of things. So if we can get transparency and an overall sense of deep inner love and worth, that is going to radiate out into everything in our life. Okay, so let's look at some situations. Number 1, I think there's a lot of self-talk in the car. We're in a capsule, and this is a great time to utilize and transfer those negative energies into super positive ones, or at least benign ones. Oh my God, I'm late again. She always takes too much time. I'm trying over and over and over, and now I'm gonna be late and they're gonna be mad at me and it makes me look really stupid. Oh my God, why won't this guy get out of my way? I'm late again. Everyone has to be on the highway at the same time as me. Well, I am certainly doing the best I can today. It is sunny out. I don't care how cold it is, man. The sunshine is awesome. Wow, this is a great podcast. I can't wait to tell so-and-so about this. I'm sure I'll be there right on time. Always doing my best. What can I say? Definitely not going to get a speeding ticket and add to that. Oh, that cut in front of me, I hope they're doing well today too. So yeah, definitely there's things you can replace. You can also listen to podcasts. You can make calls and talk to people that you want to catch up with. You can ask for solutions to a challenge and then see what the universe brings. And a lot of times I'll pick out a person I'm really thankful for and just start thinking about them and kind of gushing about them. So car space actually really can be a place to create better and better feelings. Let's look at situations where people are working out. I can see how this would be triggering. Oh my God, I should have gotten that outfit. Oh, I'm so glad I didn't get it though, because he's wearing it. I wonder if that girl's looking at me. I have been here doing that forever and I don't look like that. I am so sick of not losing weight. I can't believe I am not gaining more muscle right now. This is ridiculous. Oh, I can feel my muscles burning. I know this is so good for my body. I love to be able to sweat like that and cleanse my body, and I hope everyone here is feeling as good as I am. I know when I'm feeling better, I'm looking better. I'm so glad. Thank you, self. Thank you for getting your butt here and actually doing this. Yeah, so in these situations, instead of focusing outward and a lot of comparison, definitely one of those times to go into how your body feels. Your body is actually speaking to you a lot right now, literally, and you're asking a lot of it. So Complimenting it is going to get you a lot further than comparing it to someone you're not. Okay, how about getting ready, like shower and mirror time, when you're forced to some way look at yourself and deal with yourself? This is one area that can be probably the hugest game changer. I know I used to be so critical. Oh my God, nice. Look at those wrinkles. Oh, that's great. And the gray hair is super. Okay, well that's awesome. Oh my God, this is ridiculous. You would think if I brushed 5 times a day, that wouldn't happen. I'm getting old. Hey girl, did a good job today. That was not an easy meeting. You're looking happy. Your eyes are bright. Love you, babe. I mean, who looks in this side of the mirror anyway? At first, I decided to just not look in the mirror for a while because I couldn't find anything nice to say about myself. It was actually really ridiculous in retrospect. So I just started with the small things, like, you're doing a good job today. And then I might even look in my teeth and laugh at all the things that were in there from breakfast. And then over time, I started genuinely saying beautiful things to myself. And I swear, wrinkles have gone away. I swear I look better. I certainly look happier. And I know this to be actually true if the body is now responding to what I'm telling it. If I was picking on it before, just like if I was picking on a child for their bad behavior or what I perceived as wrong, that's going to come to the surface and I'm going to find more and more wrong with it, and there's probably going to be more evidence of that. So being really kind to yourself in the mirror, in the shower, getting ready, being thankful for what's working, being grateful for this skin. Where I used to pick on brown spots and scars, now I call them life marks. These are all stories. My skin is telling a story. Where I might have a little extra in the belly, that's because that was my baby's house. And I am really happy with it and love it. And so as I adore myself in genuine ways more and more, I feel much better mentally. And I swear my body is healing. Couple tips. If you're really tired, don't look in the mirror. And if you're triggered or cranky, don't look in the mirror. Okay, what about bedtime and trying to fall asleep? Oh, this is one of the worst or best times for self-talk. Oh, let me tell you, I have done a 180, and executing that was a really big deal, and it has transformed my sleep and therefore my awake time. And I have a whole episode on sleep that I'm really excited to share with you, so check that out. What you do before bedtime and as you're falling asleep in your mind is critical. I used to fall asleep with anxiety, with all kinds of fear, going over how I had failed during that day, making all these plans for the next day. There was this huge cascade of things going on, and the chemistry in my body was like there was a spider in my bed. I would describe it as that. Oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay that bill. Dude, I know they're mad at me. If that inspector doesn't show up tomorrow and that doesn't happen, I am going to be so out of luck. Okay, so if that happens, then I can do that after, and then this and that will fall in line. But if that doesn't happen, oh my God, my body hurts. What if I'm not going to heal? How is this even possible? She's mad at me. Oh, here I am again. It's been 3 hours and I can't fall asleep. Should I just get up? And then I would wake up in the same kind of panic and start that all over again. When I decided to install a better protocol and going to bed with really calming thoughts and reviewing everything that had gone well in the day, everything changed. All right. Well, that meeting was really tough and you did a good job. The breath work we did today really set the tone. Oh my God, she was so sweet. I really, really appreciate her. I had a good workout today. I'm really noticing how at ease my body feels right now. And waking up is a whole lot nicer when I go to sleep like that. What about chronic arguing situations that a lot of people find themselves in? Yeah, this can be really defeating. So if you have negative self-talk and if you have unhelpful voices in your head during, before, and after arguing, you're berating yourself, you're the victim, or you're berating the person that you are arguing with and expelling that energy outward. Either way, it's not taking responsibility for your situation or leaving the chance for evolution and healing. Why are we here again? This has got to change. You need to understand me. You're making me feel so unappreciated and angry. I notice I'm feeling this way again. I don't want to be here again. How can I take responsibility? I can see that you're upset and I want to acknowledge that. And I have a choice here. So I'm going to step away and I'm going to get control of my actions, and I want to feel better. I want us both to feel better. So taking the responsibility for what you're thinking and the chemistry in your body is giving yourself the chance to be in control and take your power back and be present. By changing that voice and making that tweak, you're now having perspective as opposed to giving your power away. Okay, that's great. So those are some situations and times that happen possibly every day, a couple times a day. And if we can improve our self-talk in those areas and instill some of those philosophies, then overall things are going to start to change pretty fast. What are some things to be aware of? Okay, so this is one that I offer to people all the time that I use myself. When it gets hard, when I can't feel like I'm being authentic with the nice things I'm saying to myself and I want to just berate myself, I pretend I'm talking to one of my daughters or to a friend instead. And this is magical. For some reason, we will say things to ourselves that we would not dream of letting someone say to our friend. And if they said it to one of my kids, I would throttle them. Act as though you're talking to a child or someone you love or respect or one of your dear friends if it gets hard. And that really helps me keep going. It helps me make decisions. If someone is treating me perhaps in a way that is pushing a boundary, I'll ask myself, instead of saying, well, maybe you should be nice or it'll hurt their feelings, I'll ask, would I accept my daughter being treated this way? And I'm like, hell no, move away. The second method I utilize is finding that root cause in the triggering transformation protocol that I use and then getting out of that really fast. It's important not to dwell there. When we dwell in the, well, my mommy did this, or he hurt me, or fill in the blank, our root issue, then we're staying stuck. And if we keep telling that story to ourselves, then we are creating a thicker and thicker neural pathway for that lie to just keep being repeated. We are now installing our new protocol that becomes our go-to. That's now the pathway that's going to be very thick and robust, and that's when it's a habit. We're just saying good and useful and beautiful things. A third thing to be aware of is secondary gain or unconscious benefit or advantage that someone is getting in relation to something negative. So in this case, negative self-talk. Two examples of that. I'll throw myself under the bus with the first one here. It's not really under the bus. It's just a little vulnerable. So I used to be in a relationship that I found myself in more physical pain when I was with this person. And when I gained some perspective around it and started noticing it, I wondered why. And I unpacked it. I had had a surgery. When I was in pain and I would speak that truth, because I was, then I would get attention. He was usually really busy and there were other problems with the relationship. And when I set myself at this disadvantage, he could then move in and kind of be the protector and the one who made me feel good. And that was a dynamic that was not healthy. So that began a codependency instead of an interdependency, and is one of those situations where I saw that and the self-talk where, oh, I need him, I'm going to go to him to feel better. I wasn't taking care of myself. And then also I had a lot of self-talk around, well, why am I not getting this attention or only angry attention unless I'm not feeling well or I'm in pain? So it definitely helped as an indicator look at the rest of the relationship and move away from that. Another one I hear from a lot is people complaining that they don't feel good or that they look fat or they're just not happy with how they look in some way. They're getting a lot of attention, and then it's now someone else's responsibility to make them feel better, either for mental pain or for talking them into that they look fine or helping them feel better in all these different ways. I've noticed that the problem just keeps going. If we can't change that self-talk, inside, and then also now we're distributing it to those around us and expecting them to do something about it, then the situation is only going to get exacerbated. We have codependency, we have neediness, and we have all these things that don't feel good to anyone in the group. And if they do, then that's clearly a relationship dynamic that needs some working on. So definitely be aware of secondary gain and just kind of ask yourself, could this be feeding into anything? You can really disrupt the cycle here by, instead of saying those things out loud, asking yourself what you can do for yourself in order to feel better, to feel love, to feel physical ease, to feel better about how you look. All these things we can take 100% responsibility for, and that comes from our self-talk and how we're speaking to others about ourselves. Another thing to watch out for is a defeating voice. So words like always and never, if those are cropping up in your self-talk, in your inner dialogue, that's a red flag. For instance, I don't want to up. I always make him mad. I never get her to understand. So these speaking in absolutes are usually a lie, and they're usually going to exacerbate a negative situation. So what you can do is replace those with a helpful voice. I think this can actually go really well. I am getting better and better at conveying myself clearly. All right, I trust myself, and if it doesn't work out, I'm going to be okay. So using those subtle changes and also being aware that certain words are usually self-defeating. So this work with self-talk is clearly more important than just one person. It is important to everyone. And with this one, I like to use a visual. I call it a target healing. So we have ourselves in the center, and then we have our very close, maybe it's a partner, our dog, a family, and then we might have friends, community, and sometimes those overlap. And then we have our overall environment, the people that don't know us very well, if you work with a ton of people, or your outward persona. And we can really only heal in one direction. It doesn't work by trying to be this amazing, healed, wonderful person on the outside, because if you have a wound on the inside, it'll just fester and grow. So how you self-talk, and of course that comes out of our mouths a lot, not just self-thinking in our head, is noticed, first of all, by you. So this is our unconscious and our conscious. And this is where we start running into a lot of contradictions, running out of energy, self-sabotage, a lot of self-berating, and we're going to have major worthiness issues. So first of all, we are the ones that have to hear it. And next, we have the next string, which is your closest people. Maybe you don't even have anyone close. Maybe it's your dog or it's the person at work, but usually there's a partner or a close friend. If you're not hiding it from them, now you're spewing it to them. And this can manifest in a lot of different ways. Kids can sometimes take on these habits. A partner might have to start being an enabler, or there might become a dynamic where they're always trying to fix what's wrong with you, or vice versa. Everyone around you is picking up your energy. And if you're bashing yourself and unhappy, likely you're going to start to find those qualities in everyone else and driving everyone else insane. I know that when I feel a bit out of control, I start micromanaging everyone around me, and so that means my kids. And it pushes them either away, and it's giving them the same anxieties that they're going to carry forward. The next level, it'll go to your community and your work and all of your outer endeavors. I'll use the example of my money story. And I got my money story from what I told myself, my perceptions of my parents' money stories. They had very different relationships with money. One liked to spend, one didn't. One I perceived as good, one I perceived as bad. So I grew up having certain stories about my wealth and my money and my behaviors based on that programming. And it didn't start to unravel until I realized my kids were having some issues, both of them very different, and it was because of my language around money. So now I speak in a much more authentic manner. I talk much more about the truth, which is that there is abundance and that there is ways to save and ways to spend that are healthy. I'm not going to suppress it, and also I'm not going to give in to those voices. I want to listen to them, resolve it. And it's not just for me, because it can also help heal in reverse if I'm talking about that with my parents, and it can also help heal forward generations, right? I am now speaking in a much better way and helping undo the programming that maybe I installed in my kids with that. Now my story is much more truthful, much more useful. Life is abundant, and this can play out in many ways like we talked about. So kids can numb out on us. Sometimes a partner will just not want to deal with someone anymore. There can be disrespect. If someone doesn't respect themselves and can't speak nicely to themselves, then you're not going to have good boundaries, and that's going to attract more of that. So these are some of the ways that it can heal from the center outward, and it's not going to happen the other way. If your outer ring looks very different than how you talk to yourself, it's time to do some healing. It requires a lot of energy to fake it like that. So if you do have to keep this perfect exterior and you're talking poorly to yourself or poorly to your family and being nice to strangers, eventually that is going to manifest in horrible relationships, in loneliness, and eventually in a mental or physical health crisis. I do want to make the point that, and this is a caveat that we've talked about before, but in these unhealthy dynamics where you're having to really fight to have good self-talk and you're being berated all the time, or you're in a codependent relationship, this is a situation that'll become more and more congruent, and you'll move away from that. I know that when I started having really good self-talk, there were some friendships that just dissolved and kind of just drifted off into the background. And it's not anything that has to be traumatic. Sometimes it's difficult when it is a partner, and you have to unravel that. Yet it'll become more and more clear, and you'll have the energy and you'll have the self-worth. And how you allowed yourself to be treated before just will become really uncomfortable and incongruent. So utilize that visual, that target healing. And if you can't be comfortable in your center with you, then you're likely eventually going to start bleeding that out into your closer circles, and eventually it will poison everything. So this self-talk is going to benefit everyone. The really important question is to ask yourself, how's my transparency? Do I feel inside what I'm portraying out here? And then get that alignment closer and closer and closer to absolutely Okay, so how is this going to be transformational? This is the fun part. I have lots of things that you're probably already feeling, or if not, things that you have to look forward to. Number one, how my physical body feels is so much better since installing these really excellent self-protocols. Literally, the pain that's in my body, tightness, it is probably 90% dissolved. So my body is really responding. My unconscious is hearing me, and I am feeling physically better and better. And I definitely think I look younger, and that doesn't hurt. I feel much more easeful in myself, and I really just have this juicy self-love for myself. It's great. It's much less tiring. It's way easier. I have noticed I have much better boundaries. Utilizing my kids as a way to visually get me to treat myself better and hold myself to a higher place and have the worthiness that I technically and intellectually know that I have, and really embody it. I have much better boundaries. Since I've been telling myself the truths, I have a deep innate sense of worthiness, and I'm choosing better and better relationships, better and better avenues, and I'm making decisions faster. I've noticed I receive a lot more compliments, and they mean even less. People giving genuine compliments, I used to kind of deflect, like I wasn't worthy of them, and it was actually probably really annoying for everyone. Now I let the compliments land, and I know that's true for them. And while it lands, it doesn't make me feel any better about myself. There's a sense of appreciation, I accept that, but it's not going to make my day any better, which is kind of cool because I'm already there. And I've noticed a change in people around me. So number one, because my kids are around me most, I see the change in them. They're less on edge because I'm less on edge with myself. And we need to remember that the people around us that love us, if they're at all empathetic or compassionate, they want us to be feeling good. And if we're saying bad things about ourselves, and if we're being outwardly unhappy with ourselves, that's going to create an agitation in the people around us. So I've noticed that change around me, and it makes the whole atmosphere much more enjoyable. There's a lot more humor, and I've noticed that they are saying better things about themselves and to each other as well. So this language is getting absorbed. Instead of telling people what they should say, kind of taking that in ourselves and giving ourselves the compliments first and the beautiful language first is demonstrating how we can talk to ourselves and how good that can feel. So it definitely is radiating out into everyone around us. And I've noticed that so much. I have better relationships. It is really amazing the energy and beauty that moves towards me because people are also speaking respectfully about themselves and the people around them. And that creates this momentum. The law of attraction is science, not woo-woo. Well, I sure think it is. It's incredible that when I'm in alignment with myself and I am my biggest fan and I am helping myself and uplifting myself and healing myself, my masculine and feminine, I'm much less needy, I have much more energy, and I tend to attract the abundance and the ideas and the wisdom that I'm looking for. So the whole mentality of how we treat ourselves, the very small, definitely is expanding to how the universe is treating us. It's our expectation of benevolence and kindness. And also it's efficient, let me just point out. I love efficiency. And when you don't need to rely on anyone else for how you feel or on anyone else to compliment you, it really makes life easier and you have a lot more time. Your energy's great, and the simple truth is it's not anyone's responsibility to do this for you. We all help each other up when we're down. This is what friends are for, and that's what parenting is for, and that's what partnership is for. And primarily, if you can do these things yourself, you're going to have a lot easier time in life and a lot more genuine fun. You're going to gain sovereignty over your life and your future, and you're going to have much less social addiction and having to reach out for affirmation or understanding. All right, that was awesome. So let's review. We have our trigger transformation, and in that, when we're triggered, we're going to acknowledge it, ask how it's familiar, ask if it's true or can I do anything about it. If so, then we're going to take an action, and if not, we're going to replace it with something useful. And then we have our target healing, where we're going to heal from our inside and install, especially in all those areas that we looked at that we tend to have so much self-talk, really install beautiful language, very authentic and very transparent. We're healing from the inside out. I would love to know some of your tricks and some of the things that you say to yourself. How is your self-talk beautiful? I'd also like to know, if you try a couple of these methods, how is life changing? How is how you're looking at yourself changing? Is life more easeful? Do you have more energy? Subscribe and like if this was helpful for you. That would be amazing.